Hello everyone, it is Pat with our weekly Oracle card reading and message for, well, our first week of October. Today's the 30th of September, so this will be going right into the 7th, 8th of October. So I'm going to start out by calling on our archangels from that Oracle card deck like I do every week. And this week when I asked, because I always ask which card deck would it be best for us to use for this week, I was guided to work with the Saints and Angels Oracle card deck. And then in the midst of pulling that one out, I came across Archangel Michael, and I always like to dip into him every once in a while because he's just a great archangel to work with. So let's see what's going on for this coming week. There's been a lot going on in the world, and we got to do everything we can to hold the space of peace and stay as grounded as we can amidst all the turbulence going on around us. So let's call upon the archangels and see who's working with us this week, or who we can call upon, what their messages are for us. Who do we need to work with this week? Who's working with us this week for whatever we may be going through? Okay, beloved archangels. One has flipped out as usual. Okay, and it's the Archangel Azrael with this message of counselor, and it says, you're a natural counselor, and many people benefit from your guidance and reassurance. So it certainly speaks to the fact that in this coming week, you might find people seeking you out for advice, or that you're a person who's involved in helping somebody out who's going through a difficult time. And this also, for some of you out there, is speaking to you about you're stepping it up to the next level. Okay? Maybe you've put your book out there. Maybe you've making a presentation or something like that, or you're doing or involved in some kind of work that is supportive to people in some way. Azrael is the angel who he's the crossing over angel. He's the one who helps people through grief and loss and our connection to our loved ones who have passed. So there may be some work that you're involved in or stepping into or stepping up to where you're reaching larger amounts of people, or it's kind of calling you to do that. But and this can be that you're becoming a counselor in a formal capacity, or having a more expansive practice, or that the counselor card can also mean that you're kind of like a mentor. You're being like a mentor to people, to certain people, your peeps, or the younger generation that's looking to you for help and advice for certain things. So this is very much the energy of what's going on this week. So step into that role, okay? But like I said, this card is also very much about stepping it up to the next level. So you may be making preparations for that, to step into this role in a much larger way for some of you out there, okay? All right, so let's see what the Saints and Angels want to tell us this week, what the messages are for this upcoming week. So we have our 3 cards from the Saints and Angels Oracle card deck for this coming week. So the beginning of our week, we have this one, and it's the message of pray. Okay, and I think it's because the beginning of the week, with all that's going on in the world, with this issue with Kavanaugh and the appointment to the Supreme Court, and all the the stuff that's coming out in the news, it's a message from the angels to get back to prayer. Pray about it. If it's whatever it is that's disturbing you, whether it's a personal situation or a world situation, and it's people getting back to prayer at the beginning of the week. And even if you're not a spiritual person or involved in a religion, it doesn't matter. We all have a connection to a creator, our higher self, and there are all times when we even if it's something that we do just quietly, inwardly, well, actually a lot of prayer goes on that way, but anyways, the point is, at the beginning of the week, this is what we're getting back to. Deeply praying about the world's issues and its peoples, and praying for the people who have had, significant tragedies happen from world events, the natural occurrences that are going on, the typhoons, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, a lot of which is going on in the Pacific, the Western Pacific, around that Ring of Fire. So this is what the beginning of the week just feels like a lot of people getting back to prayer, groups of people praying for those in the world who are suffering, okay? And for, calling upon God and the angels and the spiritual beings that look after us for help in resolving our world issues, okay? Middle of the week, we have play music. And if you recall, we had this a bit in last week's reading, where the beginning of the week was about music for manifesting. But this is, again, a reminder, keep music playing around you, because it's so uplifting to the spirit. For some of you out there, this is about you getting back to your music, okay? Just as like this is for a lot of you, it's about getting back to prayer. If you've kind of gotten away from it for a while, it's kind of getting back to your spirituality, back to praying. It's also with the children in it, about teaching children to pray, okay? But this is about getting back to your music, either music that you used to listen to that you haven't in a long time, that was very uplifting to you, or that spoke to your soul, or it's about you getting back to playing a musical instrument that maybe you've put it down for a while and you need to get back to it. But in either case, this is really very much about having music around you to, as kind of like even just playing in the background. A lot of times I've heard of people who have the TV going in the background. It's like that white noise that makes them feel like if they're alone in the house that there's somebody else there, kind of thing. But this about, instead of doing that and having that constant media negativity, pulling at you, have something that's uplifting to you, that raises your energy. Maybe it makes you feel like dancing, or maybe it just makes you, get in touch with your soul. But that's what's going on. And if you have that opportunity to go to a concert, take advantage of it. It may be that that's part of what your connection to music is at the middle of the week. You're reconnecting with going to concerts again, with band you haven't seen in a while, or maybe it's a local one that's new to you and you're just going to check it out. But it's about working with music in the middle of the week. Saint Cecilia, it was one of the saints that was known for her music and her singing, so that's why she's featured on this card. So the end of the week, we have Saint Nick, good old Saint Nick, with this message of generosity. And it feels like towards the end of the week, we may have people who are donating goods, time, money to these areas in the world that have been devastated, helping them with supplies. And you also may be the receiver of some generosity yourself if you're in a tough situation at the moment. But I feel like it has more to do with people gathering together to, in acts of generosity to places in the world and peoples in the world that have been devastated, that have lost their homes, that have lost their livelihoods, that have lost so much because of natural tragedies, natural occurrences, whether it be a storm, a hurricane, or a typhoon, or a tidal wave. So there's a lot of acts of generosity going on in the world. Or you're thinking about, what can I do to help? And that, in itself is an act of generosity. Even if you're not donating, things or money, you may be thinking about giving of your time to support other people. So there's a lot of generosity coming out at the end of the week. Now, I just want to touch base with the Archangel Michael cards, because I always love Michael's messages and seeing what he heralds for us. So let's see what Michael's got coming up for us. Woo! Okay. There's a lot. Well, I'll keep that one out, but I'm going to ask for another message. So the first one that kind of flipped out was this one of shield yourself. Okay. And it is a message that comes up when, well, you know, with all the stuff going on in media, there is a lot of negativity, and it's triggering a lot of, you know, issues for people. So when the shield yourself card comes up, it's a reminder to give yourself that protective shield, kind of like when you go out in the rain and you bring an umbrella, you put up your umbrella. It's just to shield you from all the water that's coming down so you don't get soaked. And shielding yourself can also be about looking into the details of things. You know, if you're going to go on a trip, make sure your tires are inflated, make sure your car's working properly. You know, looking at your insurance and things like that to make sure you have all the appropriate coverage. It's like dotting the I's and crossing the T's to double check and make sure. Okay. So it's both calling upon the angels to ask them for shielding and protection, but also, you know, things that you do yourself, actions that you take yourself to ensure that you are shielded. Okay. So, Michael, what else? Oh, okay. Oh, isn't this cute? He's got the little card of innocence. Okay. And he reminds us in this card of our innocence, and that in many ways, everybody is innocent. And that's, I feel like that's what's coming into question this week with all that's going on. And, you know, we're questioning someone's innocence. And it's, you know, how much of it is an innocent, you know, thing that something that was a part of someone's age, and how much of it wasn't. So, Michael reminds us of this because underneath even people's unkind acts or selfish acts, there's an innocent need for something. Okay. But so it's an interesting, because the definite feel I get with it is that there's a real questioning of innocence this week. So call on Archangel Michael for help in either reminding us or guiding us towards what is truly innocent and what isn't. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that, because that's sort of all I feel like I want to venture into with that card. But let's see, Michael, is there any other message that you wish us to know for this week? All right, nothing else is jumping out. So, all right, nothing else is jumping out from Michael. So we will leave it at that. A lot of interesting messages in this week's cards. So anyways, I hope you have a lovely week. And, you know, please feel free if you like to. And thank you for those who leave comments. I always appreciate seeing them. And I look forward to speaking with you again next week. Take care, everyone.